Have you got a rack?
Yeah.
There's a pair of your boxes. Are these clean?
Kind of.
I hope so. Not anymore.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today is gonna be an exciting video, at least for me, because it is new bike day. My buddy Dan and I are gonna be building this bike from the ground up. Let's go. So the bike we are building today is a trail bike, or I guess an enduro bike. It is a Propane Tile CF, one of the most popular bike Propane has ever made, and definitely one of my favorites. In fact, it is exactly the same bike as this, but I'm gonna be changing a bunch of components: suspension, brakes, wheels, and I'm gonna tell you why. After that, when the bike is built, we'll go and ride it. Let's go. Before we go any further, let me introduce you to one of my new partners. I am super excited to start working with Drivetrain. Drivetrain is a bike protection film that you apply on your frame, also on your forks if you desire it, and it's simply there to protect your bike. When you ride as much as I do, and you shuttle, you travel a lot, you ride muddy, sandy conditions, even though you take care of your bike and you wash it often, it does get damaged. So having the bike protected makes a ton of difference for me to keep the bike looking fresh and simply protect them. So when I go to resell the bike, they're still looking good. So this frame's got a tailored kit. It protects 95% of it and you can barely notice it. This is a matte finish, but they also do have gloss. And this year, every single bike I have is gonna be protected by Drivetrain. I actually went yesterday to the headquarters in Whistler to pick up all those bikes. So guys at Drivetrain installed everything for me. And if you don't live near one of the different centers that Drivetrain has, you can simply order the product and do it yourself at home. It is super easy and I think it's a great product. I'm super looking forward to that partnership, and I'll show you the results at the end of the year when I peel off the wrap so you could see that the bike still look like it's brand new. And now I'm gonna show you a bike I had last year that unfortunately was not protected. So let's take a look. So for the little story, this bike was brand new last year and I decided to flew to Montana to ride Legacy Bike Park with Parking Costain and the backcountry team, and we used the Razor to shuttle up. Park was closed, Parking was driving, and he was driving really fast, which was really fun. And he drifted one of the corner, came out a little bit wide, went up the bank, and when he came down the bank, the rear wheel of my bike hit the ground, bike fell off the bike rack, but we didn't notice then, and the bike actually got dragged all the way to the moment we stopped. And I had a bunch of damage on the components, but the frame got super scratched. Here's the seat stay, so all of this hit the dirt and got dragged. There's some paint chips, sticker got damaged around the head tube on the other side, and that was a bummer because the bike was brand new. And all of this could have been avoided if I had used the right wrap. So lesson learned. Let's start with the fun stuff. Internal cable. It's actually not that bad, but we're gonna run all the cable first before we put cranks and forks. So for brakes, we're gonna be putting the Ace Dominion A4, same brakes I've been using for the past 5 years. Absolutely love them. Only difference on those brakes, they are purple. Because the purple is the new signature color from Ace, not the purple Ace. I think they look awesome. I had them last year on my Eugene, and with that black frame, I think it's gonna pop out and look very nice. Let's get going.
Have you got a rack?
Yeah.
There's a pair of your boxes. Are these clean?
Kind of.
I hope so. Not anymore.
For the shock, I'm gonna be going with the DVO Topaz T3. This is an air shock. On the other tire I have a JDX. So the JDX is a cold shock. And a lot of people ask me if I prefer air or coil. Well, I really like both. Coil shock gives me a really good feel of the terrain. I feel like I can get the best traction on the small bumps. When it's really fast and shundery, I can really feel the ground, so it gives me a better idea of how much traction I have. That being said, sometimes it's a bit tricky with the spring rate. It's very easy to be in between two springs. Whereas an air shock, it's super easy. You can adjust the air to absolutely perfection. So if you pull on weight, if you lose weight, if there is some big impact, it's very easy to tune on the go. And you can also add remove volume spacer to change the curve of the suspension. So this is why today we're gonna go with the air shock. So I'm gonna be adding 2 volume spacer on the positive chamber of the shock. So that's gonna give me a little bit more progressivity. I find the tie actually has got a really good feel on the bigger impact, and the bike is very, very capable. But adding those 2 volume spacer really gives me a bit more confidence if I do bigger drops. For forks, I'm gonna be riding the new DVO Onyx 38mm diameter. So this fork is definitely a little bit beefier than the old Onyx I had on the previous tie. More rigid, 170mm of travel, and yeah, I really like how it feels. I think DVO has done a great job, so I'm excited to put that fork on the tie because I've ridden it on my Icano, on my Spindrift, but never on the tie. So I think it's gonna be a good addition to the bike. Steer tube is cut. I've put a lot of grease on the race crown as well as on the headset. Something very important to do when you first build the bike, but also when you maintain it. A lot of the time your headset can become creaky simply because it's dirty and there is not enough grease. So it's very easy, take it apart, clean it, re-grease it, and most of the time that sort out your problems. Now we're just gonna put the fork through the frame. I'm gonna be able to put the stem, and it's gonna be much easier to work on the bike. For stem, I've got a 1-up 35mm length stem. That's what I run on every single bike except my downhill bike, where 45mm is more common. Let's do it. For bars, I'm gonna be using, as always, the 1-up carbon model. Absolutely love those bars. Those are actually the E-bars, and I really like how they feel. I've chosen the 35mm rise. That's gonna put me on a taller position, so when it's steep and gnarly, my front end is a little bit higher, which gives me extra confidence. They come as 800mm wide, but we're gonna cut them down all the way to 745mm, which is more proportional with how wide are my shoulders, give me a stronger position, and also get the bike easier to move when it's tight on the trees. I'm less likely to clip something, so let's put them on. The reason why I cut the bars before installing the brakes is so that way I will have the perfect length of the cable. Also, I highly recommend using a guide. brake on. The good thing with the new fork is that it comes straight up for a 203mm disc, so you no longer need any adapter, which is nice. So when we build a bike, we normally remove the brake pads for two reasons. First one is so by accident we don't put any oil on it and contaminate the pads before even starting. But the second reason is because I prefer to use the sinter brake pads from Hayes. So I'm gonna keep those ones as spare and I'll put, after the bike is built, the sintered ones. For grips, I'm gonna be riding the all new Ergon GDH. Absolutely love those grips. I used to run the G1 Evo on every bike. I swapped everything to the GDH now. Why? Because I find the rubber super soft, very comfortable. You've got that pillow right there that I find dampen a lot the vibration when you ride. Those lines here give you a ton of grip, so your hands don't slide off the grip even if you don't hold on super tight. They work well with or without gloves. You've got the ridge on the outside, which I find is very helpful because it's super soft, but it really lets you know when your hand is at the edge of the bar, and that's how I like to ride. You've got a ridge on the inside to protect from the lever and the shifter. They are awesome. I think it's an amazing product. And as always, there is a left and a right, so make sure you use the correct clamp on the correct grip. It's written right here. So this is the right side and this is the left. So for wheels, I'm gonna go with the E13 Grappler. The other tires that I have already built, I've put a pair of E13 Sylvan, which is a lighter trail bike wheel. But for this particular bike, I want to go and ride some yard, I want to ride fast, and I don't want to be limited by having a lighter wheel set, which is obviously not gonna be as reliable as this one. It's a little bit heavier, but this can ride absolutely anything. Those wheels are basically indestructible. They come with a lifetime warranty. They've been honestly incredible. Absolutely love them. I trust them with everything I do. And they already come with a tape, but also with a valve. That said, we're gonna change this valve and we're gonna put exactly the same one, but all slick, because it's gonna match really well with the EDC cap right there, the brakes, and also the cassette we're gonna install, as well as my chain. So I think it's gonna be a really cool look on the bike. For discs, 203mm front and back. That's what I run on every bike now. Hayes makes the 220mm option, but honestly the brakes are so powerful and I'm pretty light that I don't feel the need to go over 203. So let's put them on and then we'll go for tires.
So Remy, what rubber are we running on these?
I'm gonna go Maxxis tires, DHR on the back, Asagai on the front. Since it's my enduro bike, that's the bike I'm gonna ride the most, I'm gonna go with double casing, always 3C grip, just because I want the maximum performance. But I find like the double down is gonna be a good compromise between being very reliable and still light enough that you can pedal it everywhere. So DHR on the back, and on the front, Asagai. Okay, put some sealants, tires on, and then the wheel will be done. I've got the new Elixir cassette with the all slick finish. I think it's gonna look pretty sick on the bike, so I'm excited. There is two very important rules when mounting your tire onto your rim. First one, the tire was designed to go a certain way, so that means there is a rotation arrow on the sidewall. So it indicates that the tire wants to go this way, and it's very important because that's gonna give you the best performances when you brake, when you corner, but also the fastest rolling tire. So this tire wants to go this way. I'm gonna make sure I put the wheel the way it is when it's on the ground, meaning cassette on the right, disc on the left. Second rule to always respect is that the valve of your wheel has to be exactly in the middle of the Maxxis logo. Why? Well, it's not gonna make you ride any better, but it's gonna make your bike look cooler. It's gonna look like a professional has built your bike. And if I see you on the trails, I'll definitely notice. So once you've put one side of the tire, you want to put some special sauce. I'm using the Plasma from E13. I don't really measure. I think I've done that enough time to know. I put about half a cup. Thank you. Then I usually rotate it like this and finish installing the tire. So when I build a new bike, I actually put 50 psi onto the tire just to make sure that the bead and the sidewall are gonna sit perfectly onto the rim. That way I make sure everything is gonna be very reliable, and if I take a big compression, tire is gonna stay on the wheel. And after that, I usually spin the wheel a few times and turn it this way. That way the sealant can go all over the tire and clog any little holes that might be present. And only after that, once the bike is built, once everything is ready and I'm actually going riding, that's when I lower the tire pressure to whatever I want to ride. For this bike in particular, I'm gonna be riding normally around 20 psi on the front, 22 on the back with the double down casing from Maxxis. Let's fit the rear wheel on the bike and get going with the rest of the build. So for my seat post, I'm gonna be using another OneUp product. This is the all new V3 dropper post. It is the lightest adjustable post on the market. It's got also the shortest total length and stack height, which is extremely important for someone like myself who runs a size medium bike and has got fairly short legs. I want to get as much travel as possible. And in the past, I wasn't able to use a 180mm post. With the V2, which I really liked, it was light and reliable, but I had to shim it down to 160 or 170mm. Whereas now with the V3, I can run it as a 180mm, and it makes a big difference for me on the trail. Those like 10 or extra 20mm of travel on the post give me some extra confidence going down like super steep terrain or gnarly compression. I can definitely feel it as a big advantage. Other than that, the post is going to be even more reliable because of the new SKS seal, so it keeps the mud and the sand away. That means less maintenance, and yeah, an incredible product. Let's put it on. Yeah. For the seat, I'm gonna go with the Ergon SM Enduro with the all slick rail, size small medium because I'm a small medium guy, and yeah, I think the all slick is gonna look awesome. Okay, bike is starting to look like a bike. We've got the wheels on, the brakes. Now we're gonna put chain guides and the cranks. For chain guide, I'm gonna go with E13 TRS carbon, just a bit lighter. And for the cranks, I've got the rotor Capic. This time I'm running 165mm length, and I'm gonna run a 30-teeth oval chainring. I really like how it feels when I ride technical uphills. I feel it's more consistent, gives me a little bit more traction. So let's put them on. Now the bike starts to look like a bike. We've got the purple haze, all slick with the Ergon seat. So it's 13 cassette, so it makes sense for the transmission to get an oil slick chain from KMC. This is the X12. I've been using it for years, so let's put it on the bike. Master link, or quick link, I guess. Okay, perfect. Some pedals now. We're gonna go with the Time Special 12 pedal. Been running those pedals for the past 6 years. So when they come in the box, you can add the pins. Some people like them, some people dislike them. Well, me, I run the pins only on the back. That way, that gives me some grip on the pedal for when I ride aggressively. But when I want to clip in, my feet slide properly on the pedal. Whereas if you put the pins on the front, you can get a little bit more traction, especially when it's muddy. But as a downside, that makes it a bit harder to clip in. So we're gonna put the pins just right there on the back. Pro tip, to mount your pedals faster, you can actually hold the axle, make sure you have the right pedal on the right crank, and pedal backwards. And when it's done, obviously double check with an 8mm Allen key. I often get asked what multi-tool I use. Well, I use at all time a Topic bottle cage. This is a Ninja Master Cage SK, and you can get that little extension that's gonna mount at the back. It's from Topic, it's a Ninja tool. Inside you get the little tool. So at all time I have this with me and I can adjust the bike as I want, especially as the bike is brand new. Most likely I'm gonna be playing with the cockpit, so the roll of the bars, the angle of the levers, maybe the height of the stem, and even if the bike is not brand new, if it's super dialed, you at all time need to have a multi-tool when you ride mountain bike, just so you can adjust and fix things. So let's put it on. Obviously, the bottle cage is there to put a water bottle, so that's a Camelback podium. And if you can see, it's really close to the top tube right here. It can happen that it wants to rattle. So I usually put a tiny piece of sticky tape right below, just to prevent any type of noise. Perfect. Next step, the mud hugger. So it's a mud guard. It goes on the fork right there to protect you from water splashes, mud, little sticks, even rocks. It's great obviously to protect your face and your eyes so you can see better, ride faster and ride safer. But also it does protect the seals of your fork. So it's really good to have it even in the summer when it's really dusty and there's not really any water on the trail. So let's put it on. The bike is complete. I think we went over every single component, which by the way, if you have any question, I'll happily reply to them. So drop me a comment below. And I think I just forgot one thing though. The transmission, I'm using a Shimano XT 12-speed rear der and shifter. Why? Because I don't have any partnership with any brand out there. And this works really well with the KMC chain. So it's 13 cassette, the rotor chainring. It's affordable, reliable, and it's consistent with every other build I have except the e-bike. And I purchased that on backcountry.com, which by the way, check out the link in the description. I have my affiliate link and that supports my channel a little bit. Following that, we're gonna put some sintered brake pads on those Ace Dominion A4. I love those brake pads because they're very consistent, they're powerful, and they work well whether it's summer, very dry and dusty, or winter when it's cold and wet. So I have those pads on every bike I use. They are great. Next thing, we'll put some one-up stickers just to make sure we're gonna match the logo of the propane bike on the frame. I'm gonna go with a chrome or a metal look. We'll go over every single screw on the bike, make sure everything is tight, especially the bars. I'm gonna use a Newton meter key just so I can make sure the torque is good, because those are carbon and you want to be accurate with how much pressure you put on the screw. We'll go over the suspension, air, compression, rebound, make sure everything is good. I'll do a few bounce around on the street, and once things are dialed, I'll take you down a cool lap. Let's go. Well, Squamish got snowed in a lot the past few days and I was unable to ride this bike, at least for this video, but now it's built up, all ready to go, and I look forward to producing some cool content on it. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, give me a like, leave me a comment, check out the links below, and I'll see you next week.